All right, ladies and gentlemen, patch 9.1 Datamining has been going strong, and I did promise you guys right after the D&D session that we will look at the models, we'll look at everything that's been datamined, and hopefully, if everything goes well, Alex should be able to put this together and we'll have it up on YouTube probably within the next hour or two, right? That's the hope, at least. So we start off with the Primus's model in patch 9.1, and I think that puts sort of to sleep. Now, he looks weird, to say the very least. But there is sort of a hint of the, I want to say, the original leaked look for the jailer. I don't know if you guys remember that. It's not exactly the same. The original leaked one had the helm, and he was more in the armor of the jailer. But it's very similar to the original leaked image that we saw from the jailer. Of course, he almost looks Drust. I don't know why, but I get a sort of Drust feel when I look at him. But this does put to rest the fact that he is, that we thought he was actually the rune carver. Because we can very clearly see this is two very distinct models. I'm trying to look at his hands here to see if I can spot... Is that 4 fingers on his hand? The one hand seems to have 4 fingers, based on what I can see. No, it does seem to be 5. I know the other hand, so this hand seems to have 5. But I was trying to look if that green thing is part of his finger, or if there's another finger sort of hidden behind it. But it does look to be 5 fingers. Okay, so he does have 5 fingers, which means the statue from the beginning, completely wrong, right? That statue in the beginning is either showing a depiction of the Primus or, you know, maybe the first Primus. Because there is something else that we need to know here. There is sort of evidence that suggests that not all of these Eternal Ones was necessarily born as Eternal Ones, and that Eternal Ones may be swapped in and out. It's not heavily established, but there is definitely hints at that could in fact be, that the Primus doesn't necessarily always have to be the very first Primus. I like the model. I'm a little bit underwhelmed, I have to admit. Is anyone else feeling a little bit underwhelmed? I expected a little bit more from the Primus. Now, I'm assuming this guy is as big as a fucking house, right? This guy's gonna be super large and shit. But I still wanted a little bit more from the Primus. You think he looks... Is he exactly what you expected, Andy? I can't say that he is for me. I was hoping the Primus was the rune cover. Neil Wanderer, you and me both. I was sort of hoping for that, but, you know... Yeah, he almost definitely has a key. Plus, you can see the runes of domination magic on his, on his armor. There's very much a domination magic rune thing going on here. All right, so moving on to the new Thrall model. And I think it is safe to say that for someone who just sits on the steps of fucking Oribos and does absolutely nothing, Thrall does look badass. Now he can look badass while sitting on the steps and doing absolutely fucking nothing. The question we have to ask ourselves, we've sort of been theorizing that maybe Thrall doesn't make it past 9.1, maybe 9.2. Would Blizzard actually update the model? No, he's definitely not wearing Alliance colors. You can see on the belt has the Horde signia on it. Would Blizzard go through the trouble of updating the model if Thrall was going to die? I think no. I think absolutely not. So I think that sort of speculation from us that Thrall is being retired at the end of this expansion might have been wrong, but then again, you never know. Blizzard might decide that he's going to be a permanent fixture within the Shadowlands, because remember, this is still a possibility. Remember, if Thrall dies, he will end up in the Shadowlands, which means he will effectively eternally be part of the story, and this will be the model that he goes into the afterlife with, which, you know, could be still on the cards. I do think he looks... What I love about this model is look at his back. Do you see the sort of... while he was in captivity, obviously hit with what are those? Lashed? So you see the scars on his back from obvious captivity, just sort of showing the history of Thrall and sort of incorporating that. I don't know if you guys even saw the small little detail there on his back, but that does look fucking cool, right? It's small details, but it does add so much. So I'm definitely a big fan of the Thrall model, and they obviously updated it to look more like the statue, which is far better than this Thrall that we had for the longest time. Big and beefy, which is really cool. And yeah, this statue is definitely, if I had the money, I would be dropping it on this statue. Then, of course, we go to something a little bit better, which is the Pepe Covenant models, the Pepe Covenant collections, I suppose. Maldraxxus Pepe, which is just a blob with skeleton inside of it. Kyrian Pepe looks pretty cool. Revendreth Pepe, I actually like Revendreth Pepe quite a bit. That looks decent. Revendreth Pepe, I can get behind that. Oh, Knife Pepe actually looks the best. Which one do you want? I definitely don't give a shit about the Maldraxxus one. The Maldraxxus one is like, oh, fuck it. It's just a blob, right? It doesn't look as great, but I do like all the others. Like, the Revendreth one just looks really awesome. I love that. Definitely one that I would be getting. So, the Pepe model updates, really liking that. Let's go for Kyrian model, and of course now we have the new Archon model that reflects the wounds suffered in patch 9.1. Which I think is cool, but then again, this picture does not really show it. The Kyrian Archon also has a new model updated to reflect the wound she suffered. I mean, I'm not really seeing the fucking wound, right? I guess she still looks awesome. But she's always looked really fucking awesome, as far as I'm concerned. Even though I don't trust her one bit, and I think they're all fucking evil. I mean, sure, she apparently has a wound that I genuinely can't fucking see. Maybe I'm just blind, but I am not seeing the wound. Let's see how big I can fucking make this. Yeah, I know. Whatever that wound is. I mean, over the heart, like I said, it's a little bit small. It is a little bit small to really say I see everything. I can see that it looks bandaged almost. Like, it looks as if there's a bandage there. But I'm definitely not seeing wounds. This is the announcement trailer, which is just the normal trailer that we have seen before. So I'm doubting that would be, like, it wouldn't be in that one. Now, ladies and gentlemen, everyone's been asking where the fuck is Ner'zhul, and as it turns out, the original Lich King Ner'zhul has a model in patch 9.1, a twisted construct of armor and bone, reminiscent of Marigar. Although not named at BlizzCon Online, it appears that the remnant of Ner'zhul will be the fourth boss in the upcoming Sanctum of Domination. Now, tell me, how many of you thought that this was even remotely possible? Of course the Zaval broke him. Remember, there's this story, which I think, once Arthas took control of the helm, right? Once Arthas donned the helm, Arthas actually went into a meditative state where he battled Ner'zhul and ultimately managed to banish Ner'zhul from the helm. Now, according to the book, according to the lore, Ner'zhul was banished to the furthest reaches, right, of the helm. where Ner'zhul couldn't interfere anymore. Because remember, the original plan was actually for Ner'zhul to take over Arthas's body. This is why Ner'zhul wanted Arthas to come and don the helm, because Ner'zhul planned to actually take over, banish Arthas, and take control of Arthas's body. Arthas, of course, somehow learnt about this plan from Ner'zhul, and I believe still that it was actually Kel'Thuzad that informed Arthas of this plan, that this is what Ner'zhul was going to do to him, and thereby giving Arthas that sort of leg up. So Ner'zhul was banished. This is the remnant of Ner'zhul. So this is not Ner'zhul, this is a remnant of Ner'zhul. Could it be that the true Ner'zhul is perhaps still somewhere trapped within the helm? So this is the remnant, the evil part of Ner'zhul, the part that, you know, did end up almost destroying Outland and did lead the orcs in mighty combat in service to the foul, so to speak, right? This is that part of him, the bad part that remained. And of course, I do think this model looks amazing. I can't wait for an updated version so I can actually make it far bigger and see a bit more. But definitely very, very cool, in my opinion. Then, of course, we have a new Erebos skybox. And as you can see, it is much, much darker and the maw is growing. I showcased this all the way back in the beta, where the maw does appear to take over the whole of the skybox of Erebos, and now it's growing even bigger. So you can clearly see that the maw's influence is continuously growing. It is getting bigger and bigger, taking over more and more of the space. You can see you're just going to, I believe that's the Revendreth portal. You see the black of the maw is now even in that sort of in that skybox area. So the maw is clearly growing out of control. So very cool indeed. Very, very cool.